It's November the 3rd, 2021, and I guess this is the day after the event here. How about that? We won Virginia. Looks roughly a handy 2.1% right now. It could close up a little bit as late absentee ballots come in or something, but essentially I think it's pretty much concluded it's a win for Youngkin over McAuliffe. And this kind of gets in the situation I'd discussed in my previous videos here that and also look at New Jersey. That was a really bit of a surprise. I think the best polling toward the end, which would be probably Trafalgar, and even the local Fox station in D.C., not the national Fox News poll, both showed around a 2% race. So I guess you can say congratulations to them. And those are the two latest polls. And if we assume there was a lot of last week changing in opinion here of undecideds coming into making a decision, then it looks like those two polls were pretty much right. They're not always wrong. It seemed like people were pretty much off on New Jersey, though, because that thing is running neck and neck as of the time I record this at about 87% of the vote in. If you like these videos, by the way, remember to give me a like so that it help out with the algorithm. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And you can click the bell for notifications. Otherwise, just check back on probably Saturday afternoon and Wednesday afternoon, and I should have something up unless I do something special, which I might do from time to time. Anyway, so like I said, that is a really, I guess, a bit of an upset to the Democrats, although I think a lot of them sort of saw Virginia coming. I don't think they saw this hair-tight race in New Jersey, which hasn't been decided yet. And given it is New Jersey and how close it is, I wouldn't be surprised that the Democrat won't pull it out. But we'll see about that. I mean, but I think even these two results, I think, are a bit of a, kind of a shell shock to the Democrats, and hopefully it will have some influence. I noticed that at the last minute, Joe Manchin held up on going ahead with the big spending bill, and I think there's different reasons that could be involved, but one of them may be he kind of wanted to see the outcome of these elections before he made a final commitment to it, perhaps. Maybe that's wishful thinking. The other thing I'm kind of hoping for, though, is that some of the Democrat moderates that are in districts that are most at risk we'll see this outcome and maybe say, on second thought, do we really want to do this? We already have our $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. Do we have to push it any further right now? And that's kind of, I think the hopeful thing that could occur. Because on the other hand, there is another possibility, which was always there anyhow, that the Democrats will say, well, we're going to lose the 2022 House election anyhow, so let's do all the damage we can while we still can. So we'll have to wait and see what their attitude toward that is. It will be interesting to see how this all turns out. The other thing is unclear where Manchin's coming from. One thing that's still a problem is that key elements of this big spending bill are only estimated to be funded for, let's say, I think one of them is like 6 years as an example. Yet this is something that, if it started, isn't meant to stop in 6 years. It's meant to go on indefinitely. And so even the budgetary approach is supposed to look at it as a 10-year budget. And if you throw that in there, that's going to definitely increase the total budget return. But anyway, I think this at least some good news for the people in Virginia, if nothing else. I guess they can feel that maybe a little help is on the way for the ones that have some sense. The ones that are completely deceived with the lies will of course be a little upset. But I think particularly for the educational system and a lot of these crazy mandates and stuff, we give them a bit of relief. So anyhow, like I said, the main thing I've been thinking of is kind of what the national political effect of these races would be anyhow. I think that's, since I don't live in Virginia, but I do. Virginia is a tending blue state, but obviously it has the potential to go red on occasion. I think probably the real situation there is we have a large number of kind of loose independents that are tend to buy into liberal agendas, but they're not totally insane yet. Where California, we're not sure about those guys. They seem to be totally off the rails. Of course, I don't think in the recall we really had a really great set of candidates running anyhow, and I don't think it was too well organized, so to speak. But that's I think there's a major development here, and we'll have to see where it plays out. It'll be interesting to see. I was pointing out in the last video, I think it was, that I was really hoping that these elections occurred before the vote occurred in the House, because I think there's still some kind of a few independent votes that not independent, but I mean they're moderate Democrats are in states that they just barely beat a Republican back in 2018. Maybe barely got reelected last time, and now they're sitting there going, do I really want to vote for some kind of really radical piece of legislation now? Because that'll be a sure defeat. And I think that might, push things our way, but we'll have to see on that. So I guess that's the big news of the day. I mean, we're still watching New Jersey. The last I saw, I think the Republican was ahead by 65 votes. With 87% in, that may have certainly changed, but this time it's so close, or they may have quit counting and they'll count later today. And I don't have any insight into how that's going to turn out, other than being New Jersey and Democrats, you kind of have to be a little pessimistic, I think. But you never know. I don't know. You have to get into specifically the details of the counties and stuff, and I don't think anybody was watching it this close. I think it was considered to be a far gone situation. Well, anyhow, that's kind of the main thing. I will make some comments that there seems to be some rather interesting minor, international tensions out there that keep percolating up. I mean, apparently there's a story out that the Taiwanese Air Force shot down an old model Chinese airplane, mainland Chinese airplane. Apparently that's a hoax. Apparently it isn't true. It may have just been a picture of a plane that crashed or something, or I don't know, with all the CGI stuff. But this does represent a real clear problem we have right now with all the tension there. That something could happen, a rather minor incident could start escalating everything. That is an issue that's brewing. There's also some ongoing tension in Ukraine versus Russia, and there's so far it's largely Ukraine sends in a drone and the Russians shoot it down or something. These are really small drones. These are not these are not like the Predator and Reaper even. These are way under that caliber of drone. You have a lot of tension in the Middle East going on between Israel and Iran, Russia versus, it looks like right now maybe Russia versus Iran. Previously it was Russia for Iran. So it's kind of like, plus you got Turkey. That whole situation is kind of brewing also. Apparently Israel counterattacked Iran with a mine that was a magnetic mine that was attached to a Iranian ship and detonated and damaged the ship severely. Remember, previously the Iranians a few weeks or months back, I forget exactly the date, had attacked an Israeli ship with a drone, killing a couple of people, I believe. So, as I say, these little tit-for-tat battles are continuing in a lot of the stress tension areas of the world. So, and Biden is back from the big environmental conference in Europe, Glasgow, Scotland, I believe it is. And I don't see that anything really major or big came out of that. It's more of the same. And of course, two major players in this thing weren't even present, which would be Russia and China. China being the biggest CO2 emitter in the world and probably growing. So, at any rate, I guess we'll get more of that sort of push from this giant bill that they're trying to work on. I discussed earlier, which about a third of it is oriented toward that stuff. And I'll probably address that a little bit later in another video. So I guess I'll just wrap this up now. But essentially, we'll just have to look forward to developments ahead. But I think we at least got some really good news in the elections last night, and it's some of the best news we've had in a while. On the one other thing I want to mention on the bad side is I've just noticed that in tracking the COVID cases, it seems like the decline may have ended for now. We'll have to go a little bit further to be sure, because I've seen these little interruptions before. What seems to be happening is we're starting to get some northern states and also even California, they're starting to pick up cases again. So we'll have to see what's going on with that. The trend in deaths should continue down for another couple of weeks because it's based on previous data, previous infections. But I'd watch out a little bit on what's coming up here. So anyhow, I'll close for now. I do have the addresses of my social media and the descriptions below. So I'll close this for now.